The game begins in quite a unique way, in that our protagonist, the Lone Wanderer, has just been born. Our father is seen to clearly be a doctor, and our exhausted mother is seen just off screen. Old Daddy-O asks us whether we are a boy or a girl, how very modern, and asks us for a name.
That's a good name, don't you think? Fits you perfectly.
The game also establishes the technological advancements of the world by having our father use a device to see what we would look like when we grow up. This introduces the character creation screen. The character creation is quite rudimentary compared to today's standards and has minimal use in an FPS RPG with hardly any cutscenes, but customization is welcome nonetheless. Oh god, please stop. The player's mother will unfortunately go into cardiac arrest, establishing to us that it'll only be the player and Pappy from now on. Hello everybody and welcome to First Levels, a series where we look at video game introductions, both old and new, and determine what they do well and not so well. Today we're looking into the post-apocalyptic RPG, Fallout 3. A quick flash forward 1 year and we are now a toddler. The room is clearly a young child's playroom, but with a rather depressing bunker-like interior, telling the player that this is not a normal upbringing. Our father is teaching the protagonist how to walk, at the same time the player is receiving movement control tutorials, which I think is a really nice touch. Dad soon gets bored of this however and decides to leave, locking us in a cage, playpen. Our explorative tendencies are established early, as we break free from the playpen and can investigate the room. We soon find a Your Special book, which is used to determine our character's stats and what type of person we will be in the world of Fallout. We can make a charismatic meathead, a lucky scientist, or even make somebody like you. Our father soon returns and congratulates us on being a little brat and shows us our mother's favourite poem. Ooh, foreshadowing. Flashing forward another 9 years and we are attending our 10th birthday party. Our father tells us how proud he is we managed to live for 10 years, and an important looking fellow interrupts to tell us we are now of age to start work assignments and hands us our Pip-Boy 3000, which will act as our inventory screen, quest log and world map for the game. One of the best things about this game is that we are being shown the mysteries of the world rather than being told. Where are we? Why is everyone wearing these overalls? Why am I starting bloody work at 10 years old? This, combined with us growing up with our character, quickly immerses us into the world and drives the player on through the tutorial. Our friend Amata jests with us about how shocked we were with our little surprise party, and the game presents us with a choice of dialogue options. We receive our birthday present from Amata, her dad's old comic book of Grognak the Barbarian. And by using it in our inventory we learn that certain items can increase our stats in certain aspects and therefore some items can be extremely valuable. Having this scene take place at our birthday party gives the game an excuse to bring a large amount of important characters in the vault together. Some standout characters are of course Dad and Amata, the Overseer, Old Lady Palmer, oh Jesus, Andy the Robot, whose cake cutting skills leave a lot to be desired, and Butch, ugh. Old Lady Palmer gives us a freshly baked sweet roll as a birthday present and the bully Butch soon wants it. We have a long list of possible responses and each will provide different outcomes. For example, giving the sweet roll to Butch will resolve the confrontation quickly, but spitting on the sweet roll and giving it to him will cause Butch to attack you, which is quickly broken up by Officer Gomez. Dad and Amata will also react to the situation in a way that is dependent on how the situation transpired. In a few choices and lines of dialogue, the game establishes that we can affect the world with how we respond to its inhabitants, and in return will determine how its inhabitants perceive the player. Our father soon informs us that he has a surprise for us down in the reactor, and reveals to us probably the greatest birthday present ever for a 10-year-old. A BB gun. This area acts as our combat tutorial. We can fire our weapon and hit our target like any other traditional FPS, or we can enter VATS mode, a more tactical combat system from the earlier entries of the franchise. The game fails here to highlight the importance of the VATS system, as playing this game as a traditional FPS highlights some major issues with this playstyle. With bullets taking wild trajectories due to the combat system favouring the player's stats to determine accuracy rather than the player's aim, this can leave some players confused as to why their shots aren't landing at their chosen target. Nevertheless, Jonas takes a picture of Dad and the player, and we are magically transported another 6 years into the future. We are now 16 years old and Dad is giving us a general health checkup, and he quickly establishes we are ready to take our GOAT exams, or Generalized Occupational Aptitude Test. This will give the player an indication of what their role will be in the vault once they reach adulthood. We also learn a little bit more about Vault 101, with Dad telling us, we are born in the vault and we die in the vault. Looks like we are not getting out of here anytime soon. Ooh, foreshadowing. Making our way to the exam, we see an older Amata and an older Butch arguing in the hallway. Butch has finally realised his dream of creating his gang of tunnel snakes and has had some cool jackets made to ensure everyone knows. Once we intervene, the game presents us with our first speech check, a system in which we can influence characters in the game should we pass a percentage check based on our charisma and speech skills. In this case, we can let Butch know that the Overseer wouldn't take kindly to having his daughter harassed by Butch's gang. This will either pass or fail, affecting Butch's response to us, but will net us some good karma points. The player will then realise that there is a karma system in the game, and your moral alignment will further affect how people react to you throughout the course of the game. Of course, the player can side with the tunnel snakes, making a comment about Amata's self-consciousness of her weight. This is why I can't be evil in video games. Or you can threaten Butch, get punched in the face by 3 massive dudes and run back to Daddy for protection. Now for the goats, and all of the young inhabitants of the vault are here to sit the exam. Exams may sound like a boring way to perform a video game tutorial, but this is anything but. I mean, just look at some of these questions and answers. You are approached by a frenzied vault scientist, who yells, "I'm going to put my quantum harmonizer in your photonic resonation chamber." What's your response? Yeah, up yours too, buddy. Your grandmother invites you for tea, but you're surprised when she gives you a pistol and orders you to kill another vault resident. What do? Ask Granny for a minigun instead? Throw tea in Granny's face? After 10 questions, we will be given our results, which can range from cook or waste management specialist all the way to tattooist and laundry cannon operator. This is actually a clever way of giving the player suggestions on what skills their character should take as part of the character creation. I think it's a fantastic way of lessening the pressure on new players to pick from a large list of potential skills, especially when they are likely to not entirely know each skill's viability or function. Of course, Fallout veterans or more courageous newcomers to the series can ignore the suggestions and pick their own skills anyway. At this point, the player should be well versed on what they are getting themselves into, so 3 more years flash by and we are ready for some action. We are awoken by Amata, who tells us that our dad has left the vault. The Overseer is furious and killing anyone suspected of helping in the escape, and they are coming for you. Amata gives us a potential escape route, a secret tunnel in the Overseer's office and a gun. As soon as we take control, our trusty BB gun and a baseball bat is in clear view for the taking, as well as ample supply of medikits to reduce the danger of this first combat scenario for new players. Officer Kendall awaits us just outside our room. Luckily, rad roaches come to the rescue and slow down Officer Kendall, allowing new players time to react. Helping Kendall with the roaches will not change his mind about you, however, and he will still attack the player, albeit with reduced health. Or we can leave Kendall to fight the roaches and even potentially lose to them, leaving our hands clean of murder at least for a little while longer. During our escape, our friend Butch will find us and inform the player that his mum, Ellen, is being attacked by rad roaches. We can put past bullying aside and agree to help, or we can tell him to... oh dear. After saving Ellen, Butch declares you to be his best friend, and even gives you a snazzy Tunnel Snake's jacket, as well as some good karma. Further on, we find Andy the robot toasting some rad roaches, and Officer Gomez informs us that he doesn't want to kill us, but Officer Mack and the other security officers are on an absolute warpath. This is evidenced by Tom and Mary Holden's escape attempt, meeting their demise at the heavily guarded door to the vault exit. A gauntlet of rad roaches later, and we come to a room where Amata is being interrogated by Officer Mack and her father, the Overseer. Their madness is obvious, as they both have no problem threatening Amata with violence over the location of the player. The game will introduce the ability to sneak here, but the player can also confront the Overseer and Officer Mack. This will result in a fight to break out with the Overseer, resulting in his death, much to Amata's despair. But we also receive the keys to the Overseer's office and the secret tunnel's password. Sneaking past will bring us to the Overseer's office unscathed, but we will have to perform the game's lockpicking minigame to progress. Inside, we can find the password to the secret tunnel carelessly placed in a locker and can progress our escape that way. Another great example of the game's multiple solutions to the same problem. We make our way to the vault door, begin the opening process, have a quick scuffle with more guards and a brief reunion with Amata, and we are free to leave into the wider world of Fallout 3. We step through the gate and are greeted to one of gaming's greatest moments. And there it is, one of my favourite video game introductions and my favourite across all of Bethesda's titles in the Fallout and Elder Scrolls series. I feel like the game really immerses you from the beginning, involving the player into the world quickly and sets up the game's main mystery very well. We also grow with our character, learning the game's systems as the character would during key stages of their life. We also learn about the character's ability to impact the world through their actions in a safe way and learn how dangerous the world can be through carefully crafted combat scenarios within the first hour of the game. I also love when starting locations are revisited in games, and Vault 101's locations and characters are reused throughout the game. For example, you can find Butch later in the game and depending on your alignment with him can hire him as a buddy to adventure with. We can also revisit Vault 101 later on following a distress call from a martyr which involves a side quest to sort out more issues stemming from the player's, characters and dad's escape. Very cool indeed. Of course there are also some cons to the game, and I think that the tutorials that show rather than tell do have a downside, in that it can take longer to convey the game's concepts and systems to the player. As a result, this intro takes around an hour to complete on a first playthrough and can be especially frustrating for repeat playthroughs. The game could also do a better job in telling new players that this is not a traditional FPS game and that the VAT system is paramount to being successful with the combat system. So these are my thoughts on the introduction to Fallout 3, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's finish off with a bit of fun and some little details you may have missed during the introduction to Fallout 3. If we take a look at Mum's favourite poem hung up in Dad's office, we will see it is actually a safe. It is difficult to obtain enough lockpicking skill in the introduction, but if you do, we can find a rocket launcher schematic within the safe. What the hell was Dad up to in his spare time? Also, upon leaving 101 and entering the nearby town of Springvale, we can see the remnants of the burnt out townhouses, one of which has a mailbox which contains a letter from Vault-Tec, confirming a family's inclusion in the Vault 101 inhabitants list. This is addressed to the Gomez family and confirm that this husk of a house is actually Officer Gomez's prior to the bombs falling. A nice little detail to include in the game. Vault 101 may seem like it was built to protect the people of Washington DC in the event of nuclear war, but this vault, like many other vaults throughout America, were built as social experiments to determine how the populace would react to certain situations. The concept of Vault 101 was to house the inhabitants indefinitely, meaning no one else could enter or leave. Ever. There is a lot of evidence in the game to confirm this. However, one nice little detail is just outside the vault door there are the remains of people and placards that say "Help us" and "Let us in, mother..." Oh. So that's it guys, thank you very much for watching the video. I spent a lot of time on this, so I hope you liked it. But yeah, I've been really enjoying doing these and I hope that you enjoy them, so I'll keep doing them. Let me know of any games you'd like me to take a look at, tell me your favourite introductions and your most hated ones, and maybe I'll do a video on them. Thanks very much guys, and see you later, bye!